Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Movie Nights movie review. Today we are talking about Elio. This is the latest film from Pixar and Disney. And brief synopsis, this film is about, of course, Elio, a space fanatic with an active imagination, finds himself on a cosmic misadventure where he must form new bonds with alien lifeforms, navigate a crisis of intergalactic proportions, and somehow discover who he is truly meant to be. Obviously, a very fun Disney Pixar-like plot. And, unfortunately, the movie isn't doing very well financially. It opened pretty low. I think it was the lowest opening in Pixar history. But I don't think the film deserves that. To kind of dive into the review, I like the film. I don't think it's top-tier Pixar at all, but I don't think it's bottom-tier Pixar either. I think it's right in the middle. As I like to say, comparison is the thief of joy. And I think on its own, the film has a lot of its own merits. I liked the lead character of Elio a lot. I liked the vocal performances. I thought the world that they were setting up was very interesting, and I thought that the actual story of someone who just feels so alone that they feel like somewhere out there somebody wants them. There's a line in the movie similar to that was done very well in how they explored that. And, I think the movie is very cute. I think kids are going to love it. Families are going to love it. I also like the camaraderie between him and a character he meets after he leaves Earth. The friendship he forms with one of the aliens, I think, was actually really fun and really funny. I also think that going into the flaws of the movie, it's nothing too, groundbreaking or revolutionary, and Pixar does kind of have a really high standard for good storytelling. I do think that I really like the first act of the movie. The first act of the movie might be the strongest, and when you're telling a story, you don't want that to be the case. You want the movie to get better as it goes, that you leave the theater with this great sense of what you just watched. And I don't dislike the second or third act at all, but I think the first act was the strongest. I think the build-up and the intrigue was done really well, and it just kind of led to a place that turned into a generic kind of kids action movie. And I think that's partially due to the sense of wonder and awe being off when you watch the movie. And essentially, when Elio first gets to this place, what's it called? The Communiverse? Is that what it's called?
Universe, yeah.
When he gets to this place, it's it's very cool looking, it's very awe-inspiring, and they have that moment where they're giving you the exposition of where everything is. But as the scene played out, the magic just slowly fell off for me. Like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is cool, and this is a cool moment. But as it just kept going and going and expanding, I was just like, okay, I'm ready to move on now. And I think that happens a couple times in the movie. But other than that, overall, I enjoyed it. I think it's a solid 3-star little movie. I liked it. Nick, I'm going to throw it over to you. What did you think of Elio?
No, I'm right there with you. I echo a lot of your sentiments there. I think it's a perfectly fine 3-star movie. There was nothing outrageously bad about it, and at the same time, I didn't think there was anything outrageously like special or unique about it outside of it telling you that it was kind of special and unique.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of I think that Elliot was a great protagonist. I really liked that character. While I thought that the dynamic with the character that he meets was very strong, I did not care for the characterization of that character. That
Okay.
was kind of a bit much for me, and I think when you already have Elio, who is kind of the eccentric character, I felt like he needed a better foil in that regard to play off of. And not necessarily a foil, but like I don't know, just a different dynamic I think would have really kind of driven the stakes a little bit farther. But I mean, I think Brad Garrett does a great job as the villain of the movie. I kind of wish, like you said, the sense of wonder and amazement, something like even just like Inside Out, where just each new land, each new development
Mm.
was such an interesting, unique take and unique world. And I felt like this kind of dropped off occasionally in that regard. And especially to the whole obsession with the aliens and the alien side of things. I kind of wish, while I enjoyed the aliens and I thought that the three main ambassadors that we encounter were very funny, I just wish we got more of them or more with them because I think Pixar's always great with their side characters, and I felt like a lot of the side characters went really underdeveloped in this movie.
No, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. One other compliment I did want to point out as well, and just thinking about it as you were speaking, was the movie does a great job with Elio's motivations in terms of he wants to see those aliens, and he is not going to stop at anything to make that happen. And the determination that he has to do so. And when you get to the part, and I don't consider this a spoiler, when you get to the point of like why he's doing it is not only does he just want to, explore and do the thing, but he also feels like somebody out there has to want me. And like that whole idea built into the motivation of the character, I thought worked really well. And I think that theme held really strong throughout the movie in exploring how true or untrue that was. I think without that element of the movie, I wouldn't like the movie at all. And with that being included, that's what really kept it on the ground for me. It's what really drove home was just the emotional part of the movie. And surprise, surprise, Pixar's excellent at emotion. And you could feel it there as well. Also, the dynamic with his aunt in the film, I thought that their dynamic was interesting. I thought that the character of the aunt, explaining the complexities a little bit of her situation of being thrown into something that was not part of her plan, was not part of her life, and she works on a military base. So it's already like, you can imagine just the busyness of a single mother role anyway, let alone she works on a military base, and it's with a kid who you find out is skipping school, is causing trouble. And it's like, you kind of get this idea of like, man, I almost feel for what this person's going through, because I would also be very frustrated in that situation. And I also think that's the magic thing about Pixar is, as a kid watching it, you're not even thinking about the aunt. You don't really care. But from my perspective, as someone who's in their late 20s watching this, all I'm thinking about is, man, that sucks. I feel for the aunt a lot. And, the magic of Pixar being able to balance, who the movie's for, depending on when you're watching it. I think this movie does handle that quite well.
But that's what makes it work, right? And with
Mm-hmm.
all Pixar is that emotional through line throughout the movie that anchors the heart of the movie, right? Because you can have these extravagances. You can go into Riley's imagination and have these crazy worlds. You can go extraterrestrial and deep into outer space with Elio. But when Riley leaves for that bus, when Elio makes the decision that he makes at the end of the movie, these are all rooted in the emotional weight of the story, which is what makes the movie work. And
Mm-hmm.
in this case, obviously not to the same like heightened level as like an Inside Out, but I think it's what makes this movie perfectly fine, versus being just something bad.
I agree. I agree with you 100%, without a doubt. But guys, have you seen Elio? What did you think about it? Please leave your thoughts in the comments down below. We'd love to see what you thought about the movie. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next review.